Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. Today I'll be talking about the Big Finish story, Protect and Survive. Now, I just need to say that as a kid, as a child growing up in the 80s, I was more than aware that the world was going to come to an end in a thermonuclear holocaust. I kind of came fixated. This is the world that this story is set in. It's bringing, I wouldn't say an end, but it's bringing an answer to some questions which we didn't even know had been asked in various Seventh Doctor stories. But before I talk about that, I just want to talk about what it was like in the 80s. You see, I'm the child who was brought up and his dad took him to one side and said, I'm going to teach you how to shoot, because when society falls, you'll need to know. He wasn't joking, or perhaps he was. So yes, I was taught how to use weaponry of various types, but that's not important. What is important is that we kind of believed, almost wholeheartedly, that mankind would end in a fiery apocalypse. We just kind of bought into it. And yes, the TV I was brought up on kind of didn't help either. A handful of Twilight Zones, some Prisoner episodes, and, well, let's face it, we were made to watch Threads. And then after we watched Threads, which is about how Sheffield would survive an atomic blast, we watched the Horizon documentary, basically saying that, painting your windows. I went to a school where When the Wind Blows was in the library, which of course I read. Later on I bought New Model Army albums and they had instructions on how to make atomic weaponry. I was completely fixated on the Manhattan Project and what drove people to make such incredible weaponry. Of course, being a Doctor Who fan, I was of course mainly a pacifist, but these things fascinated me. There were books available of nothing but photographs of atomic tests, page after page of colour and black and white images of such power and magnitude and destruction, that yes, I did have nightmares. That was the childhood I had. That's the childhood I had left far behind, until I listened to this Big Finish audio. Here's the trailer.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, Protect and Survive.
Air attack warning. Go to your fallout room or take shelter. Do not panic. Stay calm. This is not a test.
Ace, they've only gonna start at World War III.
All missiles targeted on military targets within the United Kingdom.
Albert, cup of tea.
Thanks, love.
What's that?
We're on Earth. That's something to be grateful for.
Come on, let's get some fresh air.
After a nuclear explosion, there will be a cloud of deadly dust called fallout.
Door's bolted.
Albert?
It's all right, love. I'm here beside you.
Here it comes!
The radiation from this dust cannot be seen or smelt, but exposure to it can cause sickness and even death.
So the Doctor's behind it all.
What do you mean?
Well, who died and put him in charge?
You cannot leave us, Doctor, you cannot.
Enemy missile attack incoming.
Have you no mercy? No compassion? No pity?
I suggest you take cover.
You see, the thing is, I don't want to give away spoilers. Spoilers do nobody any good whatsoever. They detract from the enjoyment of a story, and, well, spoil it. That's their nature. So I will tell you when I reach the spoiler point. But I can tell you what the story's about, no problem at all. The TARDIS is in trouble. The cloister bells ringing, the Doctor is nowhere to be seen. Ace and Hex, for it is a Seventh Doctor story, the manipulative Dark Doctor, is missing. He's nowhere to be seen at all, or indeed heard. This is, after all, a Big Finish audio. Emergency dematerialization brings the TARDIS out in what can only be described as an idyllic, green and pleasant land piece of England, where two doddery old characters, basically the old man and old woman out of Raymond Briggs's When the Wind Blows, are preparing for the imminent atomic war. The end of civilization. History has been changed. We know that much for sure. We're Doctor Who fans after all, and we're not thick, and we are paying attention to what's going on. The story unfolds. Preparations commence for the atomic blast. It's chilling. The Protect and Survive leaflets that were never ever issued but were printed and were ready for distribution are referenced heavily in this. The warning documentaries and radio announcements have been carefully and skillfully recreated. We use some lovely sound redesigning by Big Finish, because the guy who originally recorded them, the bloke out of Tarka the Otter, may not have been available. For all I know, I think he may have passed on. Regardless, to say that those chilling radio announcements of my childhood from those documentaries are still here. It's all terrifying. The pressure and the tension builds. You are so powerless. It's recreated my childhood perfectly. I was chilled to the bone. The fact that this is a Doctor Who story and the Doctor was nowhere around to save the day just made things even worse. Normally you would buy into a situation like this and go, oh, it's fine, the Doctor's going to turn up and save everyone. But he just doesn't come. Ace and Hex get involved in the local goings-on, and things get steadily darker. By the end of episode 1, the birds are flying, 99 Red Balloons is no longer a song, and everybody is just terrified. It's halfway through episode 2 when things have become so dark it's unbelievable that it starts pulling on its coat and pulling up its trousers and going, right, I'm actually a Doctor Who story. I've messed with your head far too much, let's get this sorted. And that's when you're in a Doctor Who fan tells you everything's going to be alright, and this sort of thing is out. And this is the point where spoilers arrive. This is the point where you should stop listening. Go and buy it. It is an incredible piece of 1980s nostalgia for a terrifying time. Something that Doctor Who has stayed well clear of, and with good reason. So yes, buy it. Now if you've already listened to it, continue listening. At this point, you start figuring out that all is not as it seems. There's a time loop going on, and yes, there's messed about with history, and the two people involved are not quite who they seem to be. The Seventh Doctor is the monster. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the Dark Doctor of the Virgin stories. This is who we were promised all along. This is where we were going, and it's all going to end in tears. I don't really want to spoil it. In fact, I'm not going to. Suffice to say, it's a fabulously well-crafted story, and a tribute to Big Finish. If you've enjoyed the Seventh Doctor in any sense ever, get this story. If you're a fan of Sophie or Hex or any of them, it's a tight, small cast, and it's just so well done. Yes, it's got echoes of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, but only in the sense of, well, you'll figure that one out for yourself. There's also echoes of, well, Lovecraftian elder gods, but again, let's not spoil anything for anyone. Just buy it. You won't regret it. On a happier note, I'll be discussing much happier Doctor Who stories very, very soon. And of course a bit of countermeasures, I think. God, they're fabulous. So until next time, be seeing you. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are copyright of the BBC. No infringement is intended. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. To order, or simply find out more about the book Whostrology, the Time Traveller's Almanac, visit whostrology.com. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance. I just want to say that Hooverville 4 is coming up on us very, very soon. September the 1st. There'll be a lot of podcasters there. Peter Purvis, Louise Jameson, and lots of people who've been in Doctor Who. The atmosphere is wonderful. It's small but perfectly formed as a convention. Type in Hooverville 4 into a search engine and see who's coming. And why don't you come too? And we'll see you there.